Welcome to the Non-Essential Podcast. I'm Steve Gibson.
I'm Ben Matlock. Hi.
And I still haven't figured out why I introduce my names personally, like anybody would know who.
I'm the Stephen Gibson.
I'm not even that. I've talked about it before. Like the one of the two conventions I've ever done in my life where we were doing interviews. The very first interview I interviewed with a company that had a Steve Gibson working on the game.
And you're like, this is never going to work.
A clearly much more successful Steve Gibson because he's working on the game.
That's the thing. I thought it would be a good intro if you were like, I'm the Steve Gibson and I'm a Ben Matlock.
I do live near Columbus with the Ohio State. I love Ohio State, but I hate that bullshit. That's just...
The Ohio State University. Yeah. Like... the Ohio State Community College.
Well, and the only thing is, like, the biggest thing for me is, like, they use it as a thing, like, against Michigan. We're like, we're the Ohio State, and you're just that team up north. It's like, yeah, but nobody's confusing Michigan for Ohio State.
Right.
And there is Ohio University, but we're completely different divisions. And I've never in my life heard anybody argue about which one of the two schools is, like... Oh, Ohio University. No, Ohio State. It's like they're just two different things that nobody gets confused. But anyway, it's like me going on Twitter and making my name the real Steve Gibson. It's like, well, there's not any fake Steve Gibson accounts, but...
Yeah. I feel like all the fake ones come out once people start saying, like, no, I'm the real one.
Right. Anywho, we're back.
Yeah. Yeah, if you haven't listened to the show before, this is a show where me and Steve tell each other stories. The last couple of days, I've been, painting a house and a bunch of fun shit, so I haven't been able to get anything pre-prepared. So today, I dug back into the treasure trove of creepypastas, the unlimited bounty.
Even, try to pretend like that was our plan all along. It's like, yeah, no, true. Honestly, we dropped the ball. So.
Yeah, I fucked up. I should have had one ready sooner, but I didn't realize how fucking tired I would be. I thought completely repairing a house would be as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, Bob Villa, whatever.
Bob the Villa
makes it. I don't know why I even bother correcting myself. Nobody alive today remembers
Bob's
him.
Villa.
Yeah.
Yeah, he made it look so fucking easy. It's like, well, then you come paint it, Bob. You piece of shit. I don't know how funny this one will be, but I never know how funny these will be before we start them, and usually they
you
somewhere.
Can make very strong arguments that we have no idea what is and isn't funny. Like, we've got...
Well, if that were true, we would have.
Yeah. If
that were true, we would have 4 Netflix specials by now. So we must be doing something right. This is a story from a writer called GrayOwl, I believe, and I almost feel like we've done a story from him before, but I can't remember. And this is called the Raffle.
I like it already.
Yeah, it's. Just you wait, because this is certainly an idea. A common misconception people make is believing that a predator lurks in the darkness, sneaking in the shadows as they walk down a desolate street. Which isn't always a misconception. Sometimes that's actually happening.
Yeah, and that's a huge MO of predators, both man and beast alike.
Often I'm walking downtown being hunted by a jungle cat.
Oh, I posted a picture of a cat stalking me at night, 2 nights ago.
Yeah, I tweeted about a cat that follows me on my lunch break, and I always I hit this turn on these walks I go on, and at first this cat thinks I'm chasing it, and then halfway it realizes I'm not, and then it starts to try to hunt me. And it's
look, you're either predator or prey, and I just figured out you're not predator, so
it's like, wait a minute, you're a sap. I got you.
Them's the rules, yeah.
The streetlights flickering as their bodies begin to tremble in fear of the footsteps closing in behind them. They fail to realize the real monsters do not limit themselves to the darkness. Oh, we love attention. Though we attempt to remove our own monstrosities brewing deep within our own psyches, the same thing we deny feeds on the anonymity. savoring it bite by bite. So this guy's kind of a wordy bastard. But
I was going to say, so GrayOwl is Sigmund Freud.
Yeah. We are our own strangers. That's a great sentence. We walk past mirrors, the image of our true nature reflecting back at us unnoticed. We are the true monsters, not some lowlife hiding under a child's bed, tormenting them whenever the child closes his or her eyes. Well, at least I'm a monster.
I agree. You're a word monster.
Yeah. So, like, when I first read this, I thought, like, this was just some, like, edgelord bullshit. Where it's like, I'm the real monster. I'm such a sick fuck. And, but, like, no, this is actually, like, some, like, Monsters, Inc. shit we're going into. If Monsters, Inc. Was done by, like, that old FearNet channel.
Should have been.
Our society has too many rules. You have to look the part, dressing as they do in order to fit in. I don't want to fit in. I want to rule as we once did, wreaking havoc on the world as our ancestors had for centuries. I want to be in books, recognized as a powerful, inevitable force to cower upon. Instead, I'm sitting at a desk, pretending I don't want to rip Tom, my coworker's head, clean off before licking up every ounce of blood that drains from it.
See...
What the fuck did Tom do?
He's probably chews loudly or just...
He keeps blowing gum bubbles into his ears.
Yeah. Clips his nails in the middle of phone calls and stuff. Yeah, there's a lot. Pretty much what I've learned, if you work in an office, everybody around you in the office...
He's just on his cell phone really loud. Nah, I can talk. Nah, I'm just copying next to some stupid dipshit.
He's looking at me again.
He's looking at me like he wants to rip my head clean off, but he isn't gonna do shit.
But what gets me more is that all these that are like, I want to rip his head off and lick up all the blood. It's like, well, the first part seems like vengeance upon him. The second part seems like...
You like blood.
Punishment for yourself. Yeah. Like... Because once you've ripped my head off, I could really...
I want to rip his head off and then whip myself with a whip of thorns.
So he doesn't like Tom, though.
Yeah, so we know he hates Tom. That's the last we'll hear of Tom. We have to participate in a weekly drawing in order to get our fill. If we were to hold this competition more frequently, as we had in the past, the humans would figure out our existence. Human-on-human crime would no longer be a sufficient enough cover-up. We couldn't have that happen. There have been far too many rogue monsters in the past that sacrificed our secrecy. Even though this guy's talking about how I want to rule, you know, he's like, these guys fucked it up for the rest of us.
Well, I get it. It's like, I want to be the most fearsome creature alive, but my name
on
is
the
Dwayne.
DL.
I'm not very powerful, so
I can't. I don't even stand a chance against Tom.
He's got a stapler.
All of the humans' most infamous serial killers were connected to us. They were us. Out of the millions of us hidden amongst the population, it's always a bit of a circus when we come together. Well, more so a duel. See, the drawing is just the first step. Once your name is picked out of the raffle, you then have to challenge the other opponent whose name was also selected from the raffle. One of you must die in order to have one night of bliss, basking in being the monster you had to hide for weeks on end as you awaited the raffle.
So this is like Monsters, Inc. meets the Hunger Games.
A little bit of Gladiator thrown into there. Naturally, I always sat at the edge of my seat at work, contemplating winning the raffle. It's like a dream, though I have been around for quite some time. I've only won the raffle 5 times, which sounds like a lot to me.
Yeah, especially if it's do or die. Like, I've only won 5 times, and all 5 times I could have either died or lived, and I lived.
Like, this is all the monsters, presumably, in an area, so, like, if you won it 5 times, I would assume it's rigged.
Yeah.
I'm open for the 6th tonight. My boss, Ronald Simmons, however, wanted me to stay after work to have a chat. Being that the raffle was in less than an hour, I was reluctant to comply with his orders, so I told him I had a family emergency, in which he replied, "I don't give a shit." Disimpassioned, I sat down, staring upon his ripened face as he circled around my chair. Like, you know, because that's... That's how it was like a boss will be. He's aiming
circling like a...
Like, I have shit to do. I don't give a shit. You stay here.
Maybe it's a phrase and I'm just not familiar with it, but I like the ripened face to like...
Yeah, you know, I imagine like somebody, you know, boss that looks like his face was stung by a fuck ton of bees or some shit.
Yeah, that's right. It's good and ripe now.
Yeah,
like
nice and plump for you, Mr. Monster. Damon, we have to let you go, he said nonchalantly. I shifted in my seat, anger swelling in my belly as he stared at me with a smirk littering his disgusting face.
Wait. So he wanted him to stay after work.
To
and
fire
the guy's
him.
like, I don't want to. And he's like, no, you got to stay or else I'll fire you. So you better stay so I can fire you. Like,
yeah.
He probably should have just walked out then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, you know, isn't the thing they fire people on, like, the last day of the week because it's, like, to...
Yeah,
you know,
so they don't have time to, like, fuck up.
There
like,
won't be an incident or whatever. If you keep me late and then fire me after keeping me late, like, doesn't the odds of an incident go way fucking higher up?
Right. You don't keep them late. You let them go in a normal time, and then when they say, see you Monday, be like, don't be so
you're
sure.
Good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Why don't you take a real long time away from here?
And if they don't say see you Monday, then you bring it up. Be like, see you Monday. No, I won't. That's right. I forgot.
No, remember, I let you go a week ago. Thanks for working this last stretch. And then you just shut your office, lock it, turn off the lights.
Right.
And never talk to that person again. I shifted in my seat, anger swelling in my belly as he stared at me with the smirk littering his disgusting face. Why? I questioned, simply. He laughed, his hand tracing the crevices in the wooden chair I sat in. I don't have to give you reasoning for me firing you, which is actually, depending on the union rules, you do.
Yeah.
Whatever kind
Also, at this point, it sounds like the guy's circling him and caressing the chair he's sitting in. Like, I'd be like, yep, I'm good.
I don't have to do anything because this is fine oak I'm touching. Whatever country you're from can't stop me from letting you go either. I guess he's saying he's on like a green card or something. I don't know. Now I suggest you...
Can that country ever, like... I'd be like, sorry, Dusseldorf, you're fired. It's like, not if Germany has anything to say about it. You're fuck. You win again.
Whatever country you're from can't stop me from letting you go either. Now I suggest you get out of the seat so I can now jack off on it. No. Now I suggest you get out of the seat and get the fuck out of my building before I call security, he said, caustically. Naturally, I stood up, abiding by this weak, inferior creature's order, which in turn made my blood boil. Have a good life, he said, laughing as I walked out of the office's door. I wanted nothing more than to turn around as I walked away, digging my nails deep within his chest before ripping away his cold heart from within it. But I had bigger things to worry about.
Yeah, you wanted out of there in the first fucking place.
I was going to say, like, you know, you're a monster or whatever, just like... Yeah, I'm not saying blow your cover as a monster. Just, like, rob this guy for the rest of his life. And just keep pawning TVs and stuff. You'll be fine. So I sped to the isolated warehouse. As I drove through the grim, murky forest, noticing the sun meeting with the horizon, I couldn't help but ponder the thought of winning. Though I haven't in centuries, something within me could feel the possibility of being selected for the raffle. The feeling ate away at my wrath as I imagined who my lucky victim would be, if I should win. That was a no-brainer. When I arrived at the warehouse, countless cars lined the abandoned building. I got out of the car, breathing in the smell of anticipation, competition, and a hint of fear. One of us was going to die, but it was well worth it. In the end, it's all about balance. To take the life of a human, you have to take the life of one of your own first. What is that, like, lore? Like what? Like, what made these monsters? Like, who got together as monsters? Like, fucking Ted Bundy fucked everything up for the rest of us. We gotta be fair here.
Wouldn't the better thing, if you feel like you're tired of, if you always have to live in secrecy, would be like, the rule is to kill a human, we have to replace it with a new monster. Like, that way, eventually, you're just all monsters. And
right. Before going into the warehouse, I stripped out of my human form, releasing the toxic costume I was forced to wield. The transition was a painful one depending on how big the monster was in his or her natural state. I am a fairly big monster. I almost imagine like a little kid bragging here. I am a fairly big monster, so it takes skill to shimmy out of the charade the rules deem necessary throughout the year. If you should rip your disguise, you would have to give up your own child or family member who would be sentenced to death in order for you to receive new skin. A life for a
Would they just kill you?
No.
Like, that doesn't seem fair. Like, you ruined your suit. We're going to kill your son and then give you a new suit. It's like,
you know, we'll take that under consideration, but no, that's not how we're going to do things. Because we're monsters. Unless you wish to be sentenced to the dungeons instead. Okay, so you do have that option.
oh, you do.
Which is much, much worse than offering up your child or family member. Damon, a voice said. I turned to see Grigok, or Grigoch.
Oh, god damn, not Grigoch.
Grigoch? I said, grimacing before we began punching each other in the arm.
Monster version of Tom.
I like this monster greeting where they just start punching each other. I just imagine it's not even that hard. It's just like...
Yeah, like that, like, corny, like, dude bro thing.
Yeah.
Like, yo, Grigoch.
It's been too long, my friend, he said, growling in between his words. I nodded, staring at the entrance of the warehouse in anticipation.
He said, growling between the words, you got to go read that line. It's been
to. Well, wait, I want to not do this show in 30 minutes, so we got to keep it going. How about we catch up as like this is such a weird dialogue. I nodded, staring at the entrance of the warehouse in anticipation. How about we catch up as we walk? I said, flinging my stiffened wing over his shoulder. How about we walk and talk, friend Grigoch? Like,
as I touched him with my stiff wing.
As I brought him under my wing. The whole way to the entrance was filled with great conversation. Grigoch told me of his new children and how they drove him insane with their shedding. I enjoyed hearing about children, as I was never fortunate enough to find a mate. Sign your names, the Gorgon behind the desk said. I couldn't help but admire her beauty, though she was grotesque. Snakes. Those are like...
I like that he's pointing out it's like beauty, but I mean monster beauty.
Yeah, like that's like the best like wedding toast. My friend, you have a beautiful wife, even though she's completely disgusting. Though she was grotesque, snakes stemming from her head, she was marvelous to look at.
So it is the woman from Monsters, Inc.
Yeah. She seemed to notice my stare, grimacing as her cheeks turned a dark purple. Come on, Damon, Grigoch said, grabbing my attention with a snarl. I followed his lead into the waiting room. We scoured for open seats, passing countless sirens, succubi, and mare people in the process. Each had their game faces on. Silence enveloping the room as excitement surged through each monster's body. Not even Grigoch spoke another word as we waited for the raffle to begin. Attention all monsters, we are going to begin the drawing. If you shall win, you are expected to immediately go into the dueling chambers. If you do not win, you are to depart from the waiting room and enter into the auditorium to watch the duel. Now we shall draw 2 names from the box, the announcer stated, the sound of rustling overcoming the loudspeaker.
I bet it's Grigoch and the main character.
That would be stupid. What are you? Shut up. Looking around the room, every creature clenched their fists or winks as the announcer shuffled the raffle tickets. Though I was nervous of the outcome, I wanted to fly onto stage and break off every arm that the announcer had as he took his sweet time. Patience was never my strong suit.
I love the subtle ways he's pointing out that these are monsters.
Yeah. I wanted to break off every fucking 8 arms the announcer had. Okay, I have the first name. Grigoch, you may go into the dueling chambers, he announced, looking around the room before catching eyes with Grigoch. Grigoch stood up, banging on his massive chest before disappearing into the chambers. He's basically Donkey Kong.
If I win, I'm finally killing that Mario fucker.
It's just, woo! The announcer shuffled the box once more, his countless eyes looking all over the room. Once he stopped, he pulled out a piece of paper and stared amongst the crowd. "Damon, you may take your place in the dueling chambers," he said. I stood, releasing my wings, which expanded across the room instantly before letting out a deepened screech. Everybody's... I just imagine all these monsters like, all right, that's not necessary. Just go to the fucking room.
Your wing just poked me in the eye, dude. Just, yeah.
Don't make a fucking
Chill.
show about it. Growls broke out behind me as I flew into the dueling chambers. Once in the mold-laden area, I glanced at my friend-turned-opponent. He didn't seem the least bit weary about fighting me, too, and death will just... He didn't seem the least bit weary about fighting me to the death, just as I wasn't for him. It was within our nature to kill, no matter what species.
So he sets up this twist that nobody saw coming.
Yeah.
And then just is like, yeah, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't affect either of us. We're both cool with
we're
it.
numb to it, yeah. We're monsters, haha, isn't that creepy? Everyone take your seats and witness these two competitors fight for the prize of indulgence. Indulgence in the only thing we as monsters crave, flesh, the announcer said. In the background, chanting began. Most were hoping for the legendary Grgoch to win. Some were hoping we killed each other. Well, that would have been me. Like, just fuck each other up. And the rest wanted only to see blood spill onto the grime-stained concrete. Grgoch and I were only hoping to violently murder the other, claiming our night of bliss after watching the life drain from our victim. What if you were just like some dude who worked in this warehouse and you came back like you forgot something, and you just see all these monsters having Fight Club? Like, it's just like, okay, time to slowly back away.
I'm not cleaning this up in the morning. You guys better take care of that. Yeah.
It's like, why is there a snake receptionist outside?
She's that grotesque snake receptionist. She's kind of hot.
In a like kind of grotesque way. Kind of want to get with that.
Grotesquely.
I want to get disgusting with you, snake lady. Now the duel shall begin, the announcer proclaimed, causing the crowd to grow wild with anticipation. Grgoch wasted no time charging me. He was massive, much taller and wider than me, with arms as big as two stools side by side. That's a weird... Why that comparison? He was as big as a couple of chairs. Grgoch, as big as a barber chair. He lunged, punching me across the room with one powerful blow. Again he charged, mustering up his strength in order to crush my head on impact. I dodged this attempt, flying over his head before landing directly behind him, expelling my toxic venom into his chest. As I bit him, his strength began to fade. Because he was much too big to kill in one bite, I violently clawed at his neck as he struggled onto the floor, the concrete tearing away at his flesh. Continuously I bit him, pumping every ounce of venom within me into his enormous body. It didn't take long before he was paralyzed.
You didn't warn me that this was an erotic creepypasta.
Yeah, getting a little hot and bothered. It didn't take long before he was paralyzed, no longer able to defend himself against my attacks. So I circled around him. My wings expanded and my arms clenched as I imagined the satisfaction of ripping out his eye before burrowing my teeth into his neck. I've been waiting for this.
That seems unnecessary. Like, you just got to kill the dude to win. You're going to rip his eye out first, and then...
Yeah. I've been waiting for this, I said, kneeling before his frozen body. I just imagine Grgoch being like, I bet you had with your poison, you pussy.
My double stool-sized arms have failed me.
That's chemical warfare. That's cheating.
If only they were as big as 3 stools.
If only I like actually had big arms and not really long arms made of wood. That's the thing. They don't really say what Grgoch is. So it's like, it's hard to, like, they just say he's a big fucker, really. And so, but then like his arms that actually don't sound that big for a giant legendary monster. His face swelled to an unimaginable level. See, but I'm already telling you, I'm having a hard time imagining him now.
Yeah, you haven't described the face at all, so it's like...
My venom was the most toxic in the world. Much more toxic than every black mamba on this planet combined.
So this is Donald Trump talking.
Yeah.
'Cause that's what it sounds like.
I got the most venom.
I'm a fairly big monster, as far as monster, but I'm an expert monster. I'm an expert big monster. My venom's the most toxic, the toxicist. It's got the best toxins.
I have the best screech. Much more toxic than every black mamba on this planet combined. The venom began to eat away at his hardened flesh. The stench of rotting skin permeated throughout the arena. Before carrying out my plans, I smiled in Gregach's face. I wanted his last memory to be my diabolical smirk, looking down at his pitiful attempt of a duel. He did punch you pretty hard, so I don't know.
Yeah, and again, this seems weird. It's like, yeah, you've won, and you're going to get what you want, but you said you were friends, so it's like...
But they love to kill. It's in their nature.
Yeah.
Once my smile faded... Oh, go ahead.
But he's got the kill, and it's like... But they love to kill and be assholes about the kill.
But we also like to talk shop about family and shit, around the water cooler. Once my smile faded, I ripped his eye from its socket, swallowing it before slashing his throat with one swift movement. As the blood pooled from his dying body, I flew midair before releasing my deafening screech. We have a champion. Damon, name who or what you wish to indulge in tonight.
Subway.
I like the what.
Damn it, wait, fuck, I just blurted it out. No.
Gourmet chicken teriyaki. Fuck. The announcer stated. Without so much of a second thought, I named the person for years I had imagined tying up to a rusted pole in the middle of nowhere, the streetlights being his only source of lighting as I flew overhead, releasing my shit.
Monsters didn't hide in the streetlights that night.
No, he's flying over the streetlights.
Okay.
As I flew overhead, releasing my shit onto his bleeding body, which is like, that's not the deal. Like, you get to kill, like, it's like...
Oh, I don't want to kill him. I just
want to take a big shit on him. Like, I'm basically, they don't bring it up, but Damon's basically just a big pigeon.
He's talking about a statue. It's not even a person. It's like, man, I just really want to shit on a statue.
I
don't know what it is, guys.
Every time he says screech, he's like, just... As I flew overhead, releasing my shit onto his bleeding body. Ronald Simmons. The end.
That's the end.
That's the end. So he's going to go fuck up
his old boss. I assume that's his boss, but I don't remember him ever saying that name.
He said it once. He did say, okay. He said Tom, and then he brought up Ronald Simmons. Tom really lucked out.
Tom, I was going to say, you got lucky. There's one guy worse than you, I guess, in the office.
If Ronald Simmons wasn't so desperate to jack off on Damon's chair, Ronald Simmons would maybe be alive tonight.
Fuck you for microwaving fish twice a week in the office microwave.
Tom, you better watch your ass come next Raffle.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's such a weird, there's so much... I like the imagination of it.
Yeah.
Of, these monsters set up these, fucked up gladiator rules, but it's really random.
I was going to say, it doesn't track real well for me. I mean, track's the wrong word. I followed it, but it just doesn't...
it's
there's
like
this whole thing,
it,
you can set up these fantasy worlds that have these different rules, and that's a normal thing. That's part of writing, but and again, part of this is probably because it's a short story, so you lose a lot of that ability to establish some plausibility. But it did seem awful random.
Yeah, but I liked it. I thought it was a little bit different than the stuff we usually read.
I did think about halfway through, and I wanted to say something about it. I think it was both of us, but me for sure. I keep referring to the writer as he, and I guess I don't know that because it's GrayOwl, so it could be a she. So
yeah,
he or she, whoever the author was, they. It's an interesting idea. It's very I like the angle.
Yeah, it's funny. Ultimately, it's just funny.
It's just funny, yeah.
But yeah, so thank you for GrayOwl for your contribution to the show this week, because which you didn't ask to contribute, but we did it anyway because I'm a lazy fucker. I appreciate the whole internet getting me out of jams and not actually having to tell my own stories on here, because that would suck.
Well, we've done that a couple times, and it's it goes about the exact same way as this, honestly.
Yeah, but I have to
just with a lot more work involved.
You know, could you imagine if we had to actually like come up with our own shit for a podcast? God damn.
That's the problem too. Once we've read one of these, now every time I think of a creepy story, it's going to be like, what if they have a rat? Fuck, no.
I did like that, like his angle, like if you're the monster, you can't wait to shit on someone. And if you're the hero of a creepypasta, you're desperately trying not to shit.
Not to, yeah. You nearly do.
And truly, that's the line between good and evil, I think.
Yeah, your willingness to shit during this story.
So yeah, that is it. I'm out of shit. Thank you, Lincoln. Lincoln will take it from here. Everyone have a good week.
She's like, guys, this show's so bad I'm gonna cry right now.
She's like, guys, I have a story. My dad's the scariest monster I know.
That's true at this point, but anyway, yeah. So yeah, I enjoyed the story. I hope everybody else did.
And we'll be back next week with a different thing at a different time for a lot more money.
Same time.
It's a different time. Different time because different time with a different crime.
Okay, I like it.
Spit and rhyme.
Good.
I refuse to end the show.
Coming from behind bars.
All right, I'm getting the fuck out of here before I ruin this more. See ya.